welcome back. This is the Playbook, your favorite show focused on girls and women's sports. I am Candace Allen. That is Kay Williams. Back again for another episode. Was that better?
That was so good.
See, yeah,
We're
we get
working on
into
it.
it. Please follow us on all social media platforms: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We still call it Twitter around these parts, but if you see X, that's what it is. But thank you for joining us. This is going to be a really, really good episode. So tag along. We're going to jump right into it. Soccer is starting. Now we got the friendlies and the U.S. national team. Are in the She Believes Cup. We got to go last year when they were here in Columbus, which was really good. But they don't come here anymore. But they'll be playing in the She Believes Cup final this Wednesday. But we got a interesting look because this team looks completely different to the teams that we're used to. What did you think about their play? They played Australia the other day. So how do you what's your judgment on this team and like how they'll do playing against Japan on Wednesday?
I look for more changes again from Emma Hayes. I think I'll say this: the first game versus Colombia, I think they looked really good coming out. They looked pretty strong. I think that was like a solid. They're missing a lot of their stars. They're missing Trinity, Mallory, and Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
Naomi Girma's not there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pieces missing. So I think this gave you a good look at like what she's looking at in their absence, or even like to cover some of the load in tournaments and things like that. You always have to have that team that comes in and gives people breathers. So I think we got a good look at some young players. I think Emma Hayes is doing a good job of getting a lot of new faces in, quite a few new caps in this camp. So I'm excited. I think Japan will give them their first challenge of the She Believes Cup. I think the first two went about how I expected it to go. Australia's not looking great. They've been pretty flat and over their last couple friendlies that they've played. And then Colombia's a young team. They've got a lot of talent, but still just getting their footing about them. So I think U.S. And Japan have dominated this tournament as you expected to see. So I think they will face a challenge against Japan. There were parts of the game where they kind of got slowed down. Australia kind of settled into their game plan, and they were able to slow down the USA. But I will say, once in that second game with Australia, when they put in them subs late in the game, I think you've seen a different USA team. So I think that's more of like the backup to the Mallorys and Sophia, Trinity, and everybody. So also I will say I think Jaden Shaw played really well.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, if there Emma Hayes has her favorites. I think her absolute favorite is Naomi Girma, but Jaden Shaw is like rising on her favorite list. I think I saw a couple quotes from Coach where she was just tremendously impressed by how Jaden Shaw performed. And again, this is one of those opportunities with Triple Espresso being out where Jaden Shaw and Alyssa Thompson, even though they made Alyssa, who made the World Cup team, or the World Cup team or the Olympic team, I think it was the World Cup team.
World Cup,
can start to build their muscle at the international level and start to compete for one of those starting spots. So it was a great showing for them. I did like too how you mentioned Triple Espresso, and some of them you left their names off. Last names.
I couldn't even think yet. There's so many new names. Nobody told everybody on the team to go get married in the office.
Right. And I'm like, y'all need to start having y'all's husbands take y'all's last name. Like, you guys are Olympic gold medalists. Right.
Just stick with the last name.
Or give us a little hyphenated or something, because I know Sophia, Trinity's not married yet, but
I will say I did just get down Mallory Swanson like last year.
And you know me.
Because it was Pew for so long, and I love that Pew. Like, it was so cute.
I be hopping in and out of women's soccer, and I be like, well, who is Mallory Swanson? I know Mallory Pew. Like, it could have found out that they're the same person. Yeah, but shout out to them.
It's going to take some time, but I will learn them.
Yeah, but we're going to check that game out. It comes on Wednesday. We'll get another good look of what the U.S. women's national team looks like against Japan in the She Believes Cup. I don't think it'll be the one we saw when Alyssa Nair had a save.
Of course not.
And
your favorite
made a goal at the same time. Like, Oh, we gotta put
that is an interesting position too. So
right.
I'm excited to see who ends up getting that number one spot.
Uh oh.
We'll see. I think it's going to be a fight for that goalkeeper position because those are big shoes to fill.
For sure. Legend after legend after legend. But
Mm-hmm.
to continue on a bit in our full court press segment, focusing on soccer, the NWSL is going to be starting really, really soon. We have the Challenge Cup. That's the rematch between the two teams who are in the NWSL Championship. The Orlando Pride and the Washington Spirit. They play March 7th. So please check that out. We will too. It'll give everybody their first view of what this season is going to look like. Has there ever been a repeat champion in the NWSL?
What do you mean?
Like
back
back
to back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the North Carolina has the Courage that they had a nice little run there for a while. So
okay. Because
yeah,
sometimes it hits me. I don't recognize the NWSL has been around as long as it has. But this will be a great look at what these teams will look at this year. And keep a reminder, they do have a documentary out on Prime Video of the 2024 season that takes you behind the scenes of the entire season, so you can look at your Martas, your Orlando Pride, and all that good stuff. So we're going to check that out too, but that'll be a good first view of what the NWSL season will look like. I'm not going to ask you who your favorites are this year yet. We're going to say that.
I don't even know if I have one yet.
Especially since
I like
we
to
already
change.
Right, and we already talked about how they've been poaching.
Right.
And lastly, in other news, probably the case that has been going on for 4, 5, 6 years now. Who knows?
It feels like it's only been about 2 or 3, I think.
Oh my
World
God!
Cup was what 2023.
Okay, it just feels like it's gone on forever.
It feels like it's the never-ending saga.
Kiss heard around the world, obviously, and not to make light of it, but as many people know, the Spain Federation's president, Luis Rubiales, who kissed Jenny Hermoso when they won the World Cup, and obviously it became this huge controversy. He was finally found guilty, but it's like one of those things that's good on principle. Where it's like, oh, okay, you're found guilty, but there's no jail time. It's like a $10,000 fine, and he's like banned for communicating with her for like a year. And I'm like,
why would he communicate with her anyway? But here nor there. Yeah, it's a slap on the wrist. It's a here, have it kind of thing for me. I think I did see. I feel like both sides were going to fight the
ruling,
whatever you call it. Yeah, the ruling. And we'll see what comes of that. Again, a slap on the wrist. Yeah. I think that whole federation needs an investigation, if we're being honest. Can't wait to see that coach get out of there as well. She's terrible. Yeah,
that's how you really feel. And that's another thing too. Another documentary is called The Kiss Heard Around the World. It's on Netflix if you want some backstory on that one. We're going to try to review that documentary. It gives you a behind the scenes look of all the controversy, not only of just that moment, but
throughout the years
that that Spain women's national team has been dealing with, only to get to the pinnacle of the sport and win a World Cup and have a situation like this just blow up in front of the world. So this is just one of those things that happens in women's sports where you're just like, good for the ruling, but the actual punishment just renders it moot.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're going to continue on with our press with a little WNBA news. A big trade happened over the course of the weekend. The Chicago Sky, who had the number 3 pick in the 2025 draft, that's this year's draft, they traded that draft pick away for Washington Mystics All-Star, Olympic champion, WNBA champion, All-Star. Like she's one of those. Ariel Atkins from the Washington Mystics. But there are some details with this trade before we get into it. So the Chicago Sky acquires Ariel Atkins, but they trade away, again, that number 3 pick. They trade away their 2027 second round pick. And then they traded away the right to swap their 2027 first round draft pick. So let's start here. What do you think about Chicago and Ariel Atkins? Let's start there first.
Full disclaimer, I've been waiting to see what move Ariel Atkins would make for probably a year or two now, because it just kind of felt like her time in Washington was coming to an end, and I'm not surprised to see the trade happen. Again, like I said, I was waiting to see if anything came about with her. I think Chicago is looking to get a little bit of experience. I think they're looking for experience outside of finding that young and keep developing the youth. Really, I feel like they were looking for experience, and they get that in Ariel Atkins. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think she'll be able to. Listen, like they got Slew, and then they got Rebecca Allen, and then you got Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Kia Nurse. Yeah, so like it looks good in Chicago. I won't say it looks bad. The number 3 pick obviously could have helped them, but I think you get experience and you get somebody that knows how to win. They won championships.
Right.
You can't really beat that either.
World Cup. Yeah, I'm not mad at Ariel Atkins in Chicago. I think I like the move specifically for her at this point in her career. It's one of those things where you're on a Washington Mystics team that you kind of know is in a complete rebuild.
Right.
And for a player who's probably at a point in her career that needs to, you want to tackle, I don't want to say the spotlight, but you want to make something shake. So I like this move for her. I do like her on Chicago. I think she will sufficiently fill the shoes that Kennedy Carter left, seeing that Chicago didn't pick her back up. She's she's been on the defensive first team like 5 of her 7 years. So you get a player that can play offense and defense. You get a proven winner. You get a veteran. You get a scorer, which what they need. You get a very unselfish player. I think it's interesting the type of player that Coach Marsh in Chicago is bringing in. I mean, to bring in a Sloot, to bring in Ariel Atkins, to bring in Rebecca Allen, Kia Nurse. These are
very calm demeanors.
Yes, very, very calm demeanors to work around their two dynamic. Elizabeth Williams is still there, but very, very calm to work around their two dynamic post players, presences, meaning Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso, because at the end of the day, it's going to be those two players that take you to the promised land, so to speak. I mean, it's all up to developing those two, and if you can put them in the best position to win, your championship window is opening sooner rather than later. And I think for Chicago, I like it because it accelerates. They're like, we're coming in, we want to win now.
Right.
But I'm going to put a small asterisk. I will say,
right there with you.
Giving up that number 3 pick in this year's draft, like I understand Chicago is saying, we're trying to win now. We're putting vets in. We think we have 2 post players who can get us there. Win now. But the future is still the future, and this draft ain't no slouch. So immediately when I saw the trade and they traded away that 3 pick, it was, Olivia Miles is staying another year.
You think so?
I think so, because I'm like, I probably would have kept that 3 pick if it was a 70% chance that Olivia Miles was coming out, because I don't think I could pass up an opportunity to create a 3-player core with a rookie Olivia Miles and a second-year Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese. That is something that's what the Aces did. You understand what I'm saying? So, I don't know how you pass up on that. So, I'm a little shaky on that number 3 pick. And the 2 additional picks, too, because I'm like,
yeah, I think it was a lot. I think Chicago gave away a lot to get 1 player. I will say that. I think if you just did the number 3 and Ariel, I'm like, okay, fair. Right. Yeah. But Chicago gave away quite a bit to get Ariel. But again, I think they're thinking right now, we got that veteran presence. We brought in some some playmakers, and I think she's just going to build upon that. I think Chicago will look good. I think they'll give a nice little run this year.
I think
It'll
so
be
too. You
fun.
already know what I say. I'm like, I think people are underestimating the type of
Yeah.
season Camila Cardoso is about to have.
Oh yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
I have high
Yeah.
expectations for her. I don't think people understand. If Tyler Marsh, who coached Asia for the last 3 years, who was assistant coach,
Yeah.
if he's able to develop her, there's nobody in the league can stop her. And she started to get like mean and and I mean that in a good way, mean, aggressive,
Right.
like demanding the basketball. There was that one game she was tossing Asia stuff everywhere. If she
Everywhere
tap
but
into
loose.
that, right? If she tap into that and you get a developing Angel Reese, that Chicago
Yeah.
team can make something shake. So we shall see. That 3 pick. Ooh, but I will say on Washington's end, I'm not mad at it because Shakira
no.
Austin looks like she's getting back healthy. Aaliyah Edwards then showed everybody that look, I probably
Yep.
was holding back my rookie year and could have made something.
Yep.
Could have made that rookie of the year race look a little bit more interesting.
Right.
But if they're able to, let's say Olivia does come out, and they're able to get her there, 1, 2, 3
That's
years.
a win.
That's a win for
Yeah.
them, and they're building up a great future. A little bit more on the WNBA trades and things like that. It looks like Marina Mabry is stuck in no man's land, no woman's land up there in Connecticut. She requested a trade. Not only did she request the trade, the Connecticut Sun denied her trade request. So now she is stuck. And I don't see a team trading for her out of there or giving any of their picks or anything up to get her.
Yeah, I don't either. And it's one of those things. It's like, you kind of made your bed, you got to lie in it now, because you wanted to be there. It does suck, and I'm not knocking her for wanting to be out there. I'll probably be right there with her, like, get me out of here, help. They blew up the whole team, but you got to think that you're going to be somebody that they're looking to really build and help grow that team back to what they know Connecticut could be. So
sorry, Marina, like, you thought you and that's just one of those things. You think you're going to a championship level team.
Yeah.
You get one season of it. You did only for half a season, only for the entire starting 5 to essentially be traded away. So we'll see what kind of season she has. Obviously, the 2026 CBA is going to change everything. And you have the Portland expansion, the Toronto expansion. So after this year, the WNBA is probably going to look massively different.
It's going to be another one of those off season where you're like, who's where?
And to close out our WNBA talks, there's still more expansion. We talked about the Tennessee Summit last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're talking about a Boston team, which I would think, I don't want to, speculate, allegedly, just move the Connecticut team to Boston, but I don't want to disrespect Connecticut and what they put into that team. There have been talks about...
What's that? Here or there. Never mind.
They were in the rec center. But
right.
There have been talks about Cleveland getting their team back. But again, we talked about it a little bit before, where this weird naming rights. Who owns the rights to this name? And there were articles that come out that said that the Cleveland Rockers are coming back. But I don't necessarily think the Rockers will be the name if that's true.
They're going to be the Cleveland Shakers.
Right. The trademarks
ain't no Rockers. Yeah.
Been bought by the Women's Basketball League, which is something separate. So I'm still, I sound like a broken record at this point. I like the idea of expansion. However, you're talking to someone who has been around since 1997. Everything looks good when everybody is interested. And you have to protect not only, you have to protect the product on the floor. And it may look like there's a ton of great players that are not in the WNBA. We may spread ourselves too thin where there's not enough stars for some of these expansion teams. And we don't want to mimic the NBA in any way, where you just have a whole bunch of teams realistically that don't matter. I mean, we can run down a list of NBA teams that have no chance of competing and don't want to compete for an NBA title. They're just there.
Right.
And in the WNBA, you get at least out of the 12 teams or however many you get 10 or
Solid
8 that are
Yeah.
championship contenders or elite playoff contenders. And once you keep adding these leagues and spreading the top talent too thin, I think that's what it's going to look like. My focus has always been adding a 15th roster spot. So adding 3 more roster spots for an entire season to every team. And now we'll have Golden State, then we'll have Toronto and Portland. Just continue adding to every team those 3 roster spots. Do that for at least 2-3 years and then see how expansion will work. But, who am I?
Who are you?
Who am I?
We'll see what Kathy thinks. I'll text her.
Yeah. Kathy, Kathy, who may have a tampering allegedly down there in Unrivaled, but we'll get to that. Allegedly. But in women's college basketball news, as we close out our full court press, listen, I don't know what this season is about to look like, what this March Madness is about to look like. That number 1 seed is kryptonite. Whoever gets it loses.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it's looking. But I think it's that time of the season where a lot of tired legs, a lot of going into the into March Madness. It's they tired, and a lot of them have tougher schedules towards the end of the season. You know how the beginning half of the season is a cruise. It's getting to the fight. It's going to get into who wants it, who can do it. So we'll see. I'm not counting nobody out come tournament time.
Me neither.
I don't think that number 1 seed about to matter very much this year.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. I do have to point out a couple things, though. Listen, the beating that UConn put on South Carolina, like, I have not felt that way since Caitlin Clark dropped 40 on them.
Right.
Like, when Caitlin dropped 40 in that semifinal against the undefeated team, I said, I ain't felt that way in a minute. UConn came in there, AZ Fudd, the beat down that they put on South Carolina during game day. I don't want to rifle up any of the South Carolina fans. I know they got some stands out there, but I think South Carolina is at a point. I'm putting them young guns who didn't play their role, Malaysia Fulwiley, Joyce Edwards, who was like, listen, I know I'm a freshman, I'm a sophomore, I'm following the process. I'm learning from coach. I've done the ups and downs. I think it's time for Dawn Staley. Look at me trying to coach Dawn Staley. I think it's time for her to put them in the starting lineup. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. They've earned their spot.
I think they've earned their spot. And it's no shade or diss to, the senior starters and the upperclassmen on that team. I think they'll be terrific coming off the bench. But South Carolina is going to have to get off quicker, especially if they want to repeat as national champions. And I think at a certain point, you got to go with your best, and you can't. Right. The way Malaysia and Joyce are playing now, I'm like, put them in the starting lineup and figure out your rotation. It's time. It's time. Yeah. They paid their dues. But
was that Paige's big win for you?
That was AZ Fudd's big win. No,
right.
No disrespect.
We did talk AZ Fudd, and then she was gonna go, and if where she would go if she went into the draft this year. So
right. It that wasn't my. Don't get me wrong. She played, meaning Paige, she played a great game, but she wasn't the linchpin. That was AZ Fudd. She couldn't miss for about a quarter or two.
Right.
I'm still waiting for that statement game from. Okay. I think it's coming.
It wasn't the what's it called game either.
Which one?
When they beat who did they just beat? Didn't they beat USC or not USC? They didn't beat UCLA?
I don't think they played UCLA.
It was USC then.
Yeah.
I thought they beat USC.
No. Shout out to USC for beating UCLA, and Juju, I don't know what you was on that game, but I'm gonna need you to play that way every single game.
We know what Juju's on.
Listen, she almost had a quadruple double. Like,
right.
it was something ridiculous. She had 38, 35 points, 11 boards, 8 blocks, 5 assists. It was something ridiculously crazy. Juju. And that's another thing for them WNBA teams, keep tossing away them picks. You see, none of them are throwing away them 2026 picks.
Yeah, no.
Because that's the draft.
2026 is going to be a whole, that's
Juju's draft unless she's like, hey, I'm out. No, or is she 2027?
She can go 2026.
She can go 2026, yeah. So I'm like, y'all need to start holding the picks in your pocket because the way she was playing. But Notre Dame just lost to NC State after they got it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And Texas is the number 1 seed now, but they've already lost this year to Notre Dame and South Carolina. So it's all this weird madness, which makes March Madness wonderful, and we're gonna be here for it, and we're gonna cover it because we have absolutely no idea who's about to win this title. So let's move on real quick to our She Did That segment. OSU's own JC Selden gets her own shoe, the Holo JS01s. Like, I'm just hyped that so many women's players are getting their own signature shoe.
I know, I like that. I was really happy to see JC get that one.
Right, and it's a sweet shoe too, and she is. It is. I'm glad when players can partner with companies that fit them and fit their personalities and works with them and makes a shoe that looks like them, if that makes sense. But JC, who will be in a new team this year up there in Connecticut, so shout out to her.
JC's on a million side quests right now, so shout out to her too. I see JC everywhere but in Connecticut. I'm like, girl, go to training.
JC is on the
she the coach.
Yeah, she the player development coach for OSU. JC keep a bag. She say, listen.
JC keep a job.
Keep a job. JC like, listen. That WNBA salary ain't gonna cut it like it is. So let me get these coins.
She's like, OSU got me. Listen.
OSU
and you
got
know they
me.
do.
I got the shoe got me. Like, listen, I'm not playing with y'all.
Shout out to JC, because when I tell you, I done seen JC everywhere in Ohio.
She was at the Fury game, right? JC said, I'm going to
you everywhere.
She said, I'm going to Connecticut.
But on this podcast, so.
Facts.
Hello.
We're going to have to get you on there. JC said, I'm going to Connecticut when the season starts. When training camp starts.
Post-draft. Right.
The day before.
Y'all get me the 2 days before, after the draft, like the players or the rookies do.
Right.
Yeah, shout out to JC.
And to finish up this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about our favorite reality show going on this off season. That is Unrivaled. It's the best thing on TV. Always you get drama, you get competition, you get, like I mentioned before, allegedly tampering because not Angel Reese come in. Not Angel Reese come into. She came into Unrivaled with no teammates on the sky and then leave with 2. Like, ma'am, allegedly, what is you down there doing trying to get people to come inside to your team?
They was all down there scouting.
Right. But one of the big things that happened over the last week or so was the 1v1 tournament, which was really cool. Nafisa Collier won it, walked away with that $200,000, and decided to give it away to her other assistant coaches, but
Fee was not losing that.
Fee wasn't losing. Fee wasn't losing. I think the only thing surprising about the 1v1 tournament was that Aaliyah Edwards said, y'all don't know about me.
Y'all haven't heard.
Like,
y'all was sleeping is what she really said.
I was sleeping.
Because we knew.
I was sleeping.
We knew what Aaliyah could do.
It's one of those situations where in 1v1, I thought Aaliyah Edwards would be
in the
really
1v1,
good.
Yeah.
Like, no, she was taking them off her step. She was hitting threes. Aaliyah Edwards was playing a little different than. Yeah,
it's time to lock in. The league is about to get real sticky. So these players have been locked in. They've been hustling. They've been grinding. So it's just paying off. We seeing proof of their efforts out there.
Right. Aaliyah Edwards year 2 gonna look real different. I will say though, I do think the idea of the 1v1 tournament was good. Yeah. The execution of the 1v1 needs to change in year 2. Agreed. You got to separate the bigs and the guards.
Agreed.
Not you getting tired.
No, I agree. I'm with you because I think when we first started talking about the 1v1, that was the big question. Like, how is this bracket about to look? How is this tournament going to flow? Yeah, I think it would have looked a lot different. Well, not obviously, it would look like a lot different. You'd have had 2 winners, but I think it would be more fun to see that guard versus guard, big versus big throughout the whole tournament.
Right.
And go from there. And then maybe, I don't know, how the final 2 play each other in some separate competition. But
Because at a certain point, what we did see Arike get to the Final Four, but I think she had to play Aaliyah Edwards, and it's like as great as a one-on-one player Arike is.
That length
and size, like there's really nothing you can do at that point when you're a guard.
Because there's certain players.
Courtney Williams was trying to guard Nafisa, and it was just like, girl, she was jumping on her back like, no, you too little. Too little.
Like, you think like there's certain games where you're like, these guards ain't even about to drive down into the post because they know what's about to, they know what's about to happen down there. It gets crazy.
Right.
So yeah, I think it would have been beneficial to see a split in those teams.
I'm with you. Next year, please separate the guards and the bigs because got a little wild. But our current standings in the Unrivaled are Lunar Owls still kind of we're gonna start from the bottom up because
let's just get that out the way.
Okay, listen.
We still waiting.
I
still don't think they're the worst team.
I don't understand it. Maybe they was on vacation and it's just like we just preparing for the season. They weren't taking it. I don't want to say they weren't taking it serious.
They just don't reps.
Stewie at Disneyland, Disney World. She playing pickleball. Stewie like, I gave y'all the money.
Right. What more do you want? I made the league.
Dejanay, get her boo a job. Jewel Lloyd is trying to, she done work the trade onto another team in the WNBA. So I don't know.
True.
Aaliyah Edwards is on this team too. And so I'm like, this was my team heading into Unrivaled, but they're 2-7. Just not hitting for them.
I think we're just bad luck.
Yeah, I think so too.
You a little bit more than me, but
leave me alone. Phantom is 3-6. They're kind of like the same, but they've had players in and out. I think they just
that one I'm not too surprised about. Yeah.
Vinyl, who we kind of expected, but we tapped into
I
them
expected
where it was that 3 with Arike, Ryan, and De'Erica, but it was how they figure out the rest of their rotation.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what it's coming down to for Vinyl getting that rotation down still. But again, that's a team that you would think they would have been top of my list to be dominating this 3-on-3, but again, stranger things have happened, clearly.
And then Rose, which we're going to talk about a bit more in a minute, but they're 5-4. Yeah. They're on a little winning streak. However, they've had a few players hurt. Kalia Copper's out, so they signed Ariel Atkins, coincidentally.
Something fishy going
on. And I think they're playing tonight, so we get to see how Ariel Atkins looks on that team. So Rose is looking a little better. Aces, they looked unbeatable at a point, but then everybody got hurt. The Laces.
You said the Aces? Oh, I thought you said the Aces.
I may have.
Because you love sliding the Aces in there.
Right. But like Tip Hayes was hurt. She's like in a concussion protocol. Jackie Young was hurt. Alyssa Thomas is hurt, but they made a call to Benijah Laney, and she came in off the street balling. I'm like, yo,
right?
You can go 70%.
I expect nothing. Yeah, right. I expect nothing else from Benijah Laney though. She always fighting for a spot. Right. She always plays like she fighting for a spot. And
she like, listen, I'm a WNBA champion, but like I still gotta make the team. I'm like, sis, you ain't gotta go this hard. Like you are respected in these parts.
80, right?
You got the same bump for the back to back.
Right. The Laces, I'm pretty shocked about that one again. Even when they were all still, them and Lunar Owls were still undefeated. To me, Laces were the better team even before Jackie was even attempting to play again. So I was shocked to see them go on quite the slide there in the last few games. But Lunar Owls is just clearly on some different timing.
Yeah, I think Lunar Owls and the team, and I think it's not a fault, but that's how I'm going to say it. Skylar Diggins just is on a different type of time than anybody else. You can't turn off the competitor that she is. And so that team came in like we trying to win and we trying to dominate. But I will say, if there is a matchup that I am looking for, if there's going to be a championship, I need the Lunar Owls and Rose to play. So Rose was able to give the Lunar Owls their first loss. And our fave, Angel Reese was like, She gonna give you the trash talk. I love it. I mean, it's so much a part of the game, and it's a part of personality that we strip away from basketball, period. And in my opinion, I know this is girls only sports, but everybody talks about what happened to the NBA, yada yada. That kind of back and forth competition doesn't necessarily exist. You see it. There's a reason why people endear themselves to Ant Edwards, because he be trash talking and stuff on the court, but we don't get a lot of that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what
but
I mean?
He was wild with that Barack moment. I'm gonna say that.
But we needed that too, right? But we needed that though. Like, but it was refreshing. I wasn't mad at him.
Listen,
you gonna know about me, but
I'm pro trash talk, and I think, like you said, it shows a lot of personality. It makes players likable. It makes them feel accessible. It draws people in, and I think that's
it breeds
one of the
competition. Like, it's not
I
like
think that's what exactly. Breeding competition, the Caitlyn and Angel Reese thing. I think that's exactly what it was. Them both showing that spark, that fire, that intensity, that trash talk.
Right.
Because it wasn't just Angel Reese talking trash. Caitlyn was talking.
Everybody was talking trash. I mean, that's what you need.
That's what started the conversation.
Correct.
That's why we're here and in this position that we are now, and seeing in the growth in the league, and these WNBA players having a platform and a presence as like celebrities. Like, you'll see them out, and that's a celebrity, versus like you get on a plane now and you see a WNBA player, you're gonna be like, why are they here?
Right.
Versus when they was just riding on the plane with us before, and
you're like, oh yeah. Y'all had to ride with us. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But now we're in a point where we have household names in the WNBA, even if you're not a women's basketball fan necessarily. So I think those things are needed. I think the trash talk is needed. I think the personality, being able to see who these players are outside of the game and letting them express themselves. And
because after the game, and that's the thing about it, because after the game, Angel Reese was hootie-hooing. But the Lunar Owls did that the whole season, so why wouldn't she do it? And then Skylar Diggins trash talk back. But I'm like, they was just on a podcast together. Let's not put it more than what it is. This is just two competitors out there competing. And then, I'm not going to disrespect the legend. She is who she is.
Please
but Lisa Leslie, no. Made comments that's like, we got to keep it classy. I don't have her statements verbatim, but it was like, we got to keep it classy, and there's a classy way to win, and I'm going to have a talk with Angel. And I was just like, I personally am so far away from the classy on women in competition. I'm so far away from it.
I think here's the thing with the comment, with Lisa Leslie making that comment. I think Lisa Leslie comes from a time where that's how it had to be.
Right.
And that was really Lisa's whole thing, like, was how classy she kept it. And you know what I mean? How she kept her femininity and her everything in the game. You know what I mean?
But I've been around long enough when she got her hair pulled out during the Olympics.
Right.
So Lisa knows she wanted to keep it buck a couple times.
But
that ponytail went flying. Let me stop making jokes.
I think she just comes from a different era, and I think it's
for sure.
It's just one of those things where I think she can have a conversation with Angel, and I think they can probably both bring something valuable to that conversation. Just Angel letting her see it from her perspective, and Lisa, just trying to school like you would as an OG,
right,
veteran,
and
a great player. So,
and with what you said, I think part of it too is probably part of Lisa trying to. And this is the thing specific with Angel Reese, trying to shield her from the criticism, the backlash that she's going to get for whatever she does. It can be the most memorable.
Angel breathes.
It's going to be a thing. She goes to a club. She goes to a concert. She puts on a dress.
Podcast.
She has a podcast. Who is on her podcast? It's always going to be a thing. She's doing commercials. She's not in the gym. It's always going to be a thing when it comes to she is with Angel Reese. And I think part of it is trying to shield her from some of those criticism. But I'm like, the part of it that makes Angel who she is is that she's unapologetically herself. And for me, I think once you start, maybe policing isn't the right word, but once she starts getting in her head to police that kind of stuff, she's not going to be her. And it's not going to be the same competitor. It's not going to be the same kind of dog that you need for her to be able to compete. I mean, she's an undersized post player that led the WNBA in rebounds. You can knock her missing layups and all this other stuff you want to. Like Skylar Diggins said, nobody's going to tell you to stop shooting. I mean, somebody's going to say you're shooting too much, you're dribbling too much, you're passing too much. Nobody's ever going to tell you you're rebounding too much. So I don't want it to get to a point where, and I get it, even as a person too, I'm like, I want to shield her, but at the same time, there's freedom in being able to be yourself. And when Lisa said that classic comment, I was just like, let's not open up that door, because these people aren't going to like Angel Reese anyway. We saw that at the NC State Notre Dame game, where she did not go to Notre Dame. She did not go to NC State.
Why am I in this conversation? It's just one of those things. Why are you in the conversation?
Why are you bringing first of all, why are you bringing a sign to that game demeaning Angel Reese? Like, and that's the kind of thing. So no matter what, she can do everything everybody says is right. She can be as classy as you want her to be. She can wear business casual suits all day.
Right.
It will not matter. People's perception of Angel is going to be what it is. And I don't want her to start changing her outlook. And to how she approaches it, because that's what's going to drive her individually to be great. So, you know, that was our little Angel Reese kind of thing. But I do want to
and it ain't stopping her bag, so she can she can stay doing exactly what she's doing.
Right.
On the bag, Reese is doing just
and
fine.
then she's on the what is it, the committee for the Met Gala and stuff like that. So it's not stopping her, whatever she's doing. So that bag got to stay full. So let Angel be Angel. Right. That's my message to her.
I'm all for that. Let Angel do Angel.
But
she's gotten this far doing it.
Facts.
And I think Angel's the type of person I think she welcomes it. I think she welcomes the conversation. I think she welcomes, granted, some of it is a little too much, and I don't think anybody needs or wants to hear that, but she's taking it in stride, and then she's made her comments. She's voiced how she feels about things when she deemed it necessary.
Right.
And I think Angel's, like you said, she's just doing her, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
I'm here for it.
Let Angel be Angel. But we do want Lunar Owls, Rose. I'm going to be front and center. Like, I so bad want to go live and watch that game.
Right.
You know they're going to be out there competing. And people got to talking a little bit about Chelsea Gray. I don't want to forget about that. People are trying to take away her point guard nickname.
Hey, don't make me mad. I forgot you told me about that. I didn't even see that.
Wait a minute.
Listen,
right before we close out.
Don't ever.
Have you ever heard of fans trying to take away players' nickname? Like, she's been the point guard for like the last 5-6 years.
She's been a point guard before people was even
Candace
in college.
Parker deemed her the point guard. You don't take that away from anybody. So
we're not doing that.
Chelsea had to remind a couple of these people that she's one of them. Like, people were talking. She even said it. People were talking crazy.
Listen, crazy. Y'all watch y'all mouth when y'all talk about Chelsea. That's all I'm saying. And like, I do think Chelsea need to sit it down a little bit because we need to be ready for the season.
Listen,
but here nor there.
Chelsea
is
Jackie.
The point guard. Chelsea will always be the point guard.
Yes.
Chelsea is the greatest point guard in WNBA history. So let's not get confused.
Facts. And if you want to see how great Chelsea Gray will be, look at the 2022 WNBA playoffs. You will not see a better performance from a point guard in the history of the WNBA. It was unbelievable. But I think people's memories, their attention spans and memories are short. They look at last season. She was coming off a foot injury, had a shot in her hip, and it's like, you're not looking at a healthy Chelsea Gray. There's one point guard. There will only be one point guard.
Watch that call. Watch that talk. We can find a new nickname. Everybody can have their own nickname, but it's not going to be the point guard.
We're going to find Kaylin her nickname. We're going to put it out there. She's going to get one. There's going to be some OG in the WNBA who's going to give Kaylin Clark her nickname. Unfortunately, it would not be the point guard.
It will never be the point guard.
It won't be.
Stop playing on Chelsea's
point guard is not
Chelsea's great name right now.
But I don't want people to take offense to it either. Like, Don Staley wasn't named the point guard. Sue Bird wasn't named the point guard. Tisha Penicheiro wasn't named the point guard. Like,
hey, I forgot about Tisha.
Like, Sloot wasn't named the point guard. But, like, Sloot put on a masterpiece in the in the 2021 WNBA Finals.
Like, I don't think people realize how many great point guards there have been that have also not gotten that title.
Right. Lindsay Whalen, who has 4 WNBA championships. None of these players are the point guard. There's only one. No. And her name is Chelsea Gray.
Always only be one.
She may be a little
we can find a new nickname.
Right. She may be a little
We can find a new nickname, and when the season starts, we'll start a poll of what Caitlin Clark's nickname.
No, Caitlin Clark's nickname is the logo. That's what it is.
Right. Right.
Her nickname is the logo. She's not the point guard. She's the logo, and y'all know what I mean when she say that. When she pull up from down there and make them, that's her nickname. But there's only one point guard. Yeah.
Yeah. We got there's other things, but it will not be that. I'm sorry. I don't even know why you had to bring that up.
I know, I got your temperature rise a little bit. But that is our show. Again, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, all of them. Like, comment, subscribe, share, send it to your friends, family, send it to the WNBA players themselves, the NWSL, Serena Venus.
Right.
Abby Wambach. I don't care.
Everybody.
Billie Jean King told us, say hey.
Yes. Send it to Michelle Kane. That's my hero.
Right. Michelle Kane. Hey, throw some coins our way. But once again, I am Candace. That is Kay, and this is Girls Only Sports.